Barack Obama gave a speech, and his speech was actually finally the Barack Obama from the campaign that was inspiring in some way and was rallying people together. I thought it was a very good speech. And I think Obama has given some horrible speeches lately. But Sarah Palin and her speech are really the most amazing one. Did you see this speech, Lewis?
I did not see the entire speech, no.
But you read, I'm guessing, about the blood libel situation.
Oh, yeah.
So Sarah Palin decided to give a speech in great part to just deny that she had any responsibility or that violent rhetoric or crosshairs or anything had even the tiniest bit to do with the Gabrielle Giffords shooting. I believe that is the main point of the speech. If you disagree, tell me. I don't know. So in the speech, she decides to, as part of this, start playing the victim card herself. And in so doing that, she brought out a term. She could have said a number of things, right? As Charles Bavona brilliantly wrote on his blog, she could have said that, I don't know, she was implicated in murder unfairly, that she was being defamed. She could have used any series of words, but instead she said that there is blood libel being committed against her. Let's actually take a listen to a little bit of this Sarah Palin speech.
Debate that vision. If you don't like their ideas, you're free to propose better ideas. But especially within hours of a tragedy unfolding, journalists and pundits should not manufacture a blood libel that serves only to incite the very hatred and violence that they purport to condemn.
Okay.
That is reprehensible.
So it's reprehensible because people have constructed this blood libel against Sarah Palin. Now, number one, let's just get this out of the way. The word is pundit, P-U-N-D-I-T. Where she gets pundit, you would think by now somebody has told her, listen, the word is pundit, not pundit. But we're nitpicking here, all right?
Right.
The big thing here is that she has now turned herself into a victim. And in doing that, forget about apologizing about the crosshairs map. She should be apologizing for using the term blood libel. And she is choosing to use that term. If you think this is no big deal, I should explain what blood libel means, right? So just people have context here. Blood libel is the accusation that Jews murder non-Jews to obtain blood for Passover rituals, okay? And this is an accusation that was repeated many places, starting in the Middle Ages. It was the cause of a lot of anti-Jewish riots, massacres. It's a regular World War II anti-Semitic propaganda piece, okay? So this has a long history. Even more absurd is the fact that Giffords is the first Jewish congresswoman from Arizona. And Jared Lee Loughner listed Mein Kampf as a favorite book, right? So for Sarah Palin to choose, it's one of two things. Either she's malicious for choosing this term, or she just has absolutely no idea what it means, and whoever wrote the speech also has no idea what it means.
I think it's probably the latter.
You think she just is completely incompetent? She has no idea?
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know. Either, I don't know which is better. It's almost worse if they
she wouldn't knowingly dig herself deeper, would she?
I don't know. Sarah Palin is completely beyond any scope of logic and reason. We can't use normal barometers to judge what she would or wouldn't do. The National Review, which is a conservative publication, Jonah Goldberg said, historically, the term is invariably used to describe anti-Semitic myths about how Jews use blood. And Jonah Goldberg actually agrees with Sarah Palin's overall point, whatever it may be. So Palin is responding to accusations of violent rhetoric with violent rhetoric. And it's unprovoked violent rhetoric. Nobody forced Sarah Palin into using the term blood libel. She's using it unprovoked. And I can't even imagine what the speechwriting process is like, but I would love to be a fly on the wall while those speeches are being written. I mean, what kind of conversation is going on? And maybe you're right, there's no conversation going on. And I want to add, this is not about Sarah Palin using the term blood libel. I know people will say, if it was anybody else, you wouldn't care. Jews wouldn't care. And it's not true. I mean, Arab TV, Egyptian TV, a Qatar newspaper cartoon, Hamas, individual professors, all have used it in recent history. All have been completely criticized and denounced equally. This is just making big news because it's a response to something very significant, Gabrielle Giffords. Now, I know the GOP didn't endorse the video. They didn't set it up. But Sarah Palin is being set up in front of a flag. I guess the idea is some people said she looks kind of presidential. She could barely read off the teleprompter. That's not too presidential, but it wouldn't be the first time, right? And we have to remember, in thinking, I was wondering, how did we get to this point with Sarah Palin? I mean, how did Sarah Palin become what she is now? And we have to look at the mainstream media.
Well, when she was first picked as vice presidential candidate, I mean, it was a media frenzy. Everyone loved her. Everyone was obsessed with her.
But I don't even mean that. I'm saying as a vice presidential candidate, it's understandable. But after that point, by all rights, she should have disappeared after the election. But Fox hired
that initial frenzy. Fox, the Fox hiring was pretty recent. And she was a media sensation from her being discovered all the way through.
She was, but
she'd still be, even if Fox News didn't pick her up.
I don't know that I agree with that.
Oh, come on.
In part because of Fox News. Before Fox News hired her, she still had the media frenzy going. And I mean, let's look at Christine O'Donnell. She's basically gone away, other than stories about the mounting evidence that she was doing unethical things with money, which we'll talk about Monday. That's a whole other investigation. But I think what's happening here is the mainstream media is trying so hard not to be considered left-wing that they're letting lunacy slide, even though they know about it. I mean, this includes WikiLeaks. This includes the violent rhetoric, false equivalencies related to Gabrielle Giffords. And while Fox is a dedicated right-wing news channel, there really is, although I understand Rachel Maddow has a 1-hour show and Keith Olbermann has a 1-hour show, there is no left counterpoint that is literally using Democratic talking points and false equivalencies to make it seem as if both sides of every issue are legitimate and should be on the table, because they're afraid of actually being branded a legitimate left-wing network. So let's take a break. Our poll on the website, what level of responsibility does the gun rhetoric, targeting, calls to arms, fear-mongering have on the shooting? We'll have results on Monday for you. We'll come back. Plenty more. We'll also talk to Matt Ho about his experiences overseas in the Middle East.
The David Pakman Show at davidpakman.com.